Mamushi is going to be one of the strongest Shinju we've seen yet, the closest thing to JURA in terms of strength. It's gonna take the combined efforts of all the strongest characters in the story to beat him. I know it's hard to believe, but trust me, for what I'm about to reveal in this video, you're gonna see exactly what I mean. So to start off, we gotta highlight how we even gotten to this point. So right after Boruto and Kawaki's squabble with JURA, Koji tells EIDA that Boruto's actions have greatly shifted the timeline. And I always wondered why that is. What exactly did Boruto do that greatly shifted the timeline like he said? Because in the past, every time that Boruto changed the timeline, we see exactly what he did that changed it. Like telling Kawaki to confront Amato to get his limiters removed. Obviously, this will cause him to not be killed by JURA, therefore extending his life expectancy. But this one is kind of a head scratcher. Because to be honest, I see this happening either if Boruto went to Tsunagakure or not. It was inevitable that Mamushi would go after EIDA sooner or later. But maybe he was referring to when Mamushi was going to go after EIDA, not if he was going to do it or not. When Koji says this, he more or less directly tells us that Boruto going to Tsunagakure changed the timeline itself. And I'm not only talking about Kawaki's interference. That alone changed the timeline quite a bit, but it probably didn't affect Mamushi directly. What I think influenced Mamushi to make his move was seeing JURA chase after Boruto. Just seeing the fighting and the evolution JURA went through in this fight encouraged him. Remember the power of the Rinnegan, right? They all have shared senses through JURA. They can all see what each other sees and feels. We've seen something like this before with the 6 Paths of Pain. It works exactly like that. All of the pains were able to share each other's sight. And again with the reanimated Jinchuriki, same exact concept. So it's not only JURA who's connected to the other divine trees, it's the same the other way around as well. So as JURA is battling, Mamushi is able to see it too, as well as Hidari. They're not always forced to watch, they watch on their own accord. Because although we've seen the concept before with the shared senses through the Rinnegan, this is the first time we've seen it where the beings that have the Rinnegan are still alive and have their own consciousness and awareness. So perhaps it is a little different than what we're used to seeing. I mean, JURA was able to literally feel Matsuri's emotions when she was fighting Konohamaru. It could have been the same with Pain or the reanimated Jinchuriki, but at that point they weren't alive to feel anything. So now we're experiencing something different because this situation is a little bit different than what we're used to. But through JURA, Mamushi was able to see this fight, and something that happened in this situation has moved him to the point where he would further want to evaluate and discover himself and what drives his instinct as well as what genuinely interests him. He sees for JURA, it's love and the concept behind love, but for him, he finally finds out that he doesn't really care about love. What he wants is control, because he feels verbatim that they ought to thrive more as a species. And peep when he says thrive. It's boldened because this word signifies what Mamushi truly desires as a divine tree. He wants power, and through EIDA, what he shall receive is power. So to be clear, I think it was not only JURA and Boruto's battle that what inspired Mamushi, it also could have been seeing his brethren being defeated by Konoha Shinobi, which is why he feels like they should thrive more as a species. So believe it or not, this is a direct hint at Mamushi and his capabilities. Compared to the rest of the Shinju, what he's most interested in is the overall evolution of his species, not mentally, but physically. And this is something that we were wondering for a while. What is Mamushi after EIDA for? What does he desire? What are his motives? We knew nothing about him, mostly because we knew very little about Bug, who Mamushi was modeled after. Up until now, we pretty much had a solid idea of who the Shinju were gonna go after because of their human counterpart. We knew Hidari wanted Sarada because that is Sasuke's daughter. We already knew Ryu would want Gaara because not only is he Shinki's father, but he's also the person that he's attached to the most. So there's a clear connection between the target and the relationship that target has to the human counterpart. However, we didn't know anything about Bug and what might draw him that close to EIDA to the point where he would target her. Because if it's based off purely and only relationship and how close you are to a specific person, then Mamushi should have targeted Code, who is the person we've seen him with the most. But it's deeper than that. It goes into the deepest part of a human's heart and manifests it into another being, that being the Shinju. So through these chapters, we can see what Bug truly wanted from Ada. We see why Mamushi chose her as a target specifically. It's simply because he covets her genetic makeup. His vulnerable and aging body could never know what it feels like to be as perfect as Ada is. It's simply just that. The feelings of jealousy and anger that he has for Ada or for Ada's power has translated into a strong enough emotion to make her Mamushi's target, which proves love isn't the only strong emotion. It's also envy and hate. These emotions can be just as strong as love and admiration. And these strong emotions is what's needed to drive the Shinju to have ego and develop instinct. Instinct to want to devour a specific target. I don't normally talk about this moment because at first glance, it may seem like a small detail, rather forgettable if you ask the average reader, but let's just dive into it a bit more now that we have more information on Mamushi. It was here. We see Code's pain and suffering has been said to make Mamushi feel refreshed. Now, why is that? Well, to put it bluntly, Mamushi is Code's biggest hater, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. These emotions originate from Bug and how much he loathes Code. Hate and envy literally fuels him. Bug was jealous of Code, Ada, and Daemon because of their crazy power in Shinjutsu. He wished he could have that. A strong cyborg with Shibai cells, I might add. Can't forget that. I might be sounding like a broken record here, but this is very important for the next point I'll bring up. Would it be crazy to say that Bug's deep desire and envy manifested the ability to break through Ada and potentially Daemon's insane hacks? The first instance we see this is when Mamushi just casually broke through all laws of logic and spotted Ada while she was watching them. And the scariest part is, it wasn't even in real time. Judging from what Ada said, it was about 3 hours prior. So that's what's so broken about it. Because of that, there is something really crazy going on with Mamushi, something that the rest of the Shinju don't possess. And I think this fact will be the reason why they will struggle so much when dealing with him. Kashin Koji already foreshadowed such trouble, but he also is the key to beating him, because he already knows his abilities and how to deal with him, which he said he was going to tell everyone next chapter, so I really can't wait to see that. But this whole situation got me really thinking, why doesn't Koji express this level of urgency with the other Shinju? I'm not saying he doesn't express any urgency, but there's a noticeable difference with Mamushi. He's trying to make everything perfect, even going as far as to recruit Inogen to get into contact with Shikamaru. And the preparation for this fight is well recognized too, like making sure Shikamaru stays in the Hokage seat. All these precautions is of course for future reasons as well, but most of all, is to prepare for the upcoming battle. I always said to myself, and I'm pretty sure you guys all thought of this too, like you watching this video, you probably thought of this. Why does he need to do all of this if Daemon is protecting Ada at all times? I mean, by his words, he's the strongest, right? Why does he need help? Like, he can handle it, right? Am I right? I know I'm right. I gotta be right. Well, I come to figure out the short answer is he can't handle Mamushi. It's not because of his raw power, but it's his hacks. The things he's able to do to be able to bypass the hacks of Ada and Daemon. Like I said earlier, his power comes from his deep desire to be like Ada and Daemon. He wants their insane strength and vitality. It's only natural for an old man to want to be young again, even just being strong. So through these intense emotions, his Shinju counterpart has developed powers to be able to counter Daemon's Shinjutsu. We already seen it with Ada, but soon we're gonna see it with Daemon, which is why Koji knows that Daemon by himself can't keep Ada safe, and he's currently showing it through his actions. Remember, in chapter 23, Kashin Koji got a plethora of new visions that he shows us, most of which have already been revealed, all but a couple. And those are this panel with Himawari at the bottom, and then we have this one with Hidari, and the one above it with Mamushi, and what I'm guessing is Daemon because of the hair pattern and everything. And as you guys may have already noticed, the one next to Hidari that shows Sarada has already been revealed in this latest chapter. So now what we have to look forward to next is Hidari and Mamushi, who could possibly come to Konoha as a duo. You never know. I think it would be smart, rather than Mamushi going alone and potentially getting ganged up on. But more importantly, in this vision, we can actually kind of see Mamushi producing multiple clones of himself. Now, of course, this literally has to be one of the smallest visions, so we really can't see much, but from first glance, it does seem like he's able to split his body into multiple versions of himself, similar to shadow clones. Now, I could definitely see why this might be effective against Daemon, especially if he's mainly just trying to defend Ada, other than Mamushi fighting Daemon. I'm very confident Mamushi is going into this battle knowing full and well what Daemon is capable of, and he's ready to be able to combat against this power, because these clones would be able to directly bypass Daemon's hacks, which only works mainly if the opponent directs his attacks at Daemon, or cognitively thinks about hurting Daemon, which the Shinju have the capability of avoiding altogether through the power of instinct being their main driving force. And it wouldn't help if Mamushi himself was just physically imposing enough to make Daemon sweat. So if this is the case, then the only way Daemon would be able to stop Mamushi is if he would be able to physically touch him. But you might be able to see why that might be tough, because it's not only clones. Mamushi can also make use of the claw marks to move instantaneously. Now that's what makes this ability so goddamn broken, because you're telling me that I have to deal with multiple of these strong clones that can bypass all the rules of my reflection Shinjutsu, and I can't even touch him because of the claw marks? Yeah, it's gonna be too much for Daemon, I already see that. I don't care what you say, because everyone in the story also believes it too. So this is a battle for multiple people. That's why he's telling everyone what to expect and how to deal with it. It's going to take a collective effort. Maybe it'll take one person to limit movement through the claw marks like Kawaki. Remember, he's the only one who can shrink the claw marks using Sukuna Hikona. And maybe there's another person to protect Ada, while another person matches Mamushi in sheer numbers, like Boruto with his Shadow Clone Jutsu. So a lot of thought will come from this mission, because if he gets his hands on Ada, and I said it before, I guess I'll say it again for the sake of the video, but if he gets his hands on Ada now, let's just say the Shinju have won. Koji is dead and nobody can plot against the Shinju ever again. That's how broken he'll be once he gains control of Ada's genetics. Perhaps the Shibai cells that he'll inherit from Ada will cause him to awaken his own Shinjutsu, so that's a future that must be avoided at all costs. Just think about it. What happens if Mamushi obtains the Senragon? Instant whereabout knowledge on Boruto and Kashin Koji? Maybe JURA would find out the secret about Naruto's whereabouts. There's just too many possibilities. It's too dangerous to even consider, but I truly do think it's over if Ada of all people get devoured. Because remember, it's not who she is, it's what she is. And what she is can and will cause the planet to be destroyed from the inside out. But as it stands, I believe that Mamushi is the second strongest Shinju behind JURA, of course. And he's about to prove it to everyone. So if you agree with me, or anything I said in this video, go ahead and tell me what you agreed with or disagreed with. Was it something about Mamushi's abilities? Something about his motives as a character? Or what about his personality? If there's anything you feel like you can add that'll push this narrative even further, by all means, let me hear it. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video and don't mind seeing more like this in the near future, then go ahead and like the video, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any more videos like this, or when I go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.